folks, Moose here. So, this video is technically, I guess, this board depopulation video part 2. The those 8 barrels that I had, they were all the same boards over and over again, so I didn't bother filming the rest of it. So what I'm going to do is kind of make up for the lack of excitement in that video and detail in the depopulation. I'm going to go over something that I picked up today that is actually quite exciting. I have a little video that I released right before this one, kind of explaining, you know, why this gets me more excited, so I won't go into it again. But server blades, these things are like basically cash in a box. So let's take a look inside and see what we've got. All right, so I don't have any tools ready because I'm not quite sure what I'm going to need yet. But let's start off with the light iron. Put that aside. And some recyclable plastic. All right, so here's where I get excited. Right here. See all these RAM sticks and these 2 CPUs? This is where the money is, right there. So I'm going to pop these out. So these are Samsung 16 gigabyte RAM sticks. All right, and there are 2, 4, 6, 12 of them. So that's some good money right there. Normally I put them in special RAM, anti-static RAM boxes that hold 50 sticks. They're made specifically for these, and I'll get about $700 for a box of these. So that's way better than gold recovery. You just want to be careful when removing them. Unlike that right there. So what I'll do is I'll put these all aside and then bring them into my office later and sort them out by the serial numbers on them. Make sure that when I have a box of 50, they're all matching. They tend to sell a lot easier. And man, when I post these things on eBay, they sell like freaking hotcakes. I mean, literally same day sales. Sometimes, you know, within 5 minutes of posting. So that's really awesome. All right, so there's 12 there in that one, and I've got another 10 just like this. So hopefully, you know, they're all the same, and that's, you know, a couple grand right there. All right, so the next thing, take off these heat sinks. This is, it's really light, so I'm assuming it's just an aluminum heatsink. And what I like to do at this point is take a shop towel, those disposable like paper towel things, and wipe off any of the that lithium paste or whatever that's on top of the CPUs. That way I can clearly see what kind of CPU it is, and I don't take the risk of damaging it as much if I try and clean it after I pull it out, because it's all these little, you know, tiny MLCCs on the bottom that if you're not careful you can damage those, and then the whole chip is screwed. Alright, so I got a little heatsink there. Wipe off the paste. Pull that out. Alright. This is an Intel Xeon E5645. So I will check those out later. See how much those are worth. Now, we're not done in here. So there's still these, looks like 2 cards here and another one over here. These as well can have significant value. So I'm careful with those, removing them. And you know, of course, you take the time to look them up. At one point, I had someone who was helping me with that, who did an excellent job figuring out what they were. So, here's where it gets, you know, a little tricky. You've got all these funky little pull here, yank on that. weird kind of anything there. Looks like there's much under that, so it's recyclable plastic. All right. Okay. We've got all these little fans. Those two could have some resale value, but there again, it's usually a much lower value. So with those, I tend to just throw them in with the electric motors. My scrapyard does not seem to have too much of a problem with that. All right, now does this push? Push? Nope, that's not pushing. All right, so we also have, might as well take care of this now. Back here on the end, we've got these power supplies. Some of these as well can have good resale value. I've sold some upwards of $100 or more or less. But worst case scenario, these actually have gold fingers over there. So you make sure you take those off before you bring them to the scrapyard with your rest of your power supply units from other PCs. But those again, I will be looking up the values on that just to make sure I don't throw out anything that is actually worth something. All right, it's kind of like a puzzle, figuring out. Oops, I totally ruined that. Oh well. So here I've got, this is going to be a low-grade board. I've got two very tiny IC chips up here. There's a few MLCCs scattered around. That's pretty much it for that. Let's see if I made that any easier to pull out. We've got movement. It's difficult to get these out carefully without damaging. There's some of those little components on there, the little MLCCs. Oh, there we go. All right, so this card I just pulled out. Again, this has serial numbers, markings on it that I can try and look it up to see what it is, what it's worth. I had one haul from this company with some servers where I had like 30 or 40 of these units that all had this one card and that was worth like $40. So you multiply that by 30, that's quite a bit of money. Otherwise, if this is valueless, as far as resale, we've got gold fingers up here. We've got some BGA chips over there, some tiny ICs, some little gold-plated pins scattered throughout. And, IC chips. There's a little tantalum capacitor right there. And again, some MLCCs scattered on that board. So put that aside. All right, next, here's where it gets interesting. We got all these little things here at system board removal. System board. I guess you're supposed to pull this up first, then slide that way and pull up. I don't know, they try and give directions sometimes, but they're not always that great. So I'm just going to remove all the screws that I see. Oh, there's that pull tab that they were talking about. All right, I'm going to spin it around. that looks dodgy. Alright, so there's some screws on the front here. I apologize, it's going to be slightly off camera, but they will free up these cards. Alright, so that should come out relatively easily. How about you? Are you going to come out? Come out and play? These little tiny little things coming out the ends that are pulling it in. There we go. Alright. So here we have it. We've got 2 slot cards for the price of 1. That one's held in with a couple of screws. Alright, so we've got this card. Looked like it was just held in by 2 screws. Oh, the third one. Missed it. See if that helps. Break. There we go. Alright, so we've got this card right here, which again has markings on it so I can try and identify it and see what the value is on that. I was careful so I didn't damage it. And we've got light iron, and then this card, which is like a daughter card, I guess it's just a mounting card. It's got some nice gold fingers on that. So, that's just going to go for gold recovery for me. And then, once I got what I want, it'll just be a low-grade board. Alright, so this one again. Boogers are stuck right in there. Alright, so there were a bunch of these sticking out of the ends. Not really sure what they are. I've seen them before. I've tried selling them, but they just didn't move. They do have a tiny bit of gold fingers on the ends, but other than that, they're really not worth a whole heck of a lot. Alright, so then we got another card here. Take out the screw. That should gently come out of there. And there it is. So we've got another card here that we can look up the value on. Another one of these, daughter cards with nice gold fingers on them. All right, so now we're getting to the meat and potatoes of it. This is where my excitement starts to fade a little bit. The rest of this is just going to be basic basic stuff. Far less profitable, but you know, still not worth throwing away, that's for sure. Got a nice BGA chip there. So I start off by pulling the iron off, the aluminum. Now with these little guys, I like to snip the little loop that's holding that arm down. Just make sure it's not pointed towards your face, because sometimes they fly. All right. Aluminum, 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 aluminum. All right, so here's where you need to start making decisions for yourself. Wait a minute, wait. So here's another little daughter card. It's got those gold fingers on it. Got a little tantalum capacitor there and some MLCCs right next to it. All right, so here's where you need to start making some decisions. How far into this do you want to get? Now, you know, like I said in the last video, you know, just about everyone in the beginning starts off taking everything they can off of these boards to make the most money that they can, which by all freaking means, go for it. I know a lot of you don't come across server boards or servers in general, so how much of this stuff you're actually going to get, don't know. If you do, it's recyclable plastic. Alright, so at this point, according to those instructions, I should be able to pull that off. Nope, I missed a screw. Or two. Some of these boards, it's almost like they were meant to not be ever taken apart. I mean, really, come on. There we go. Pop. One double pop. Pop out. All right. And that can be held on somehow. Oh, let the games begin. Alright, it's gotta be these things holding on. That doesn't fit. Yeehaw. Yep. It's the end of the day, my brain's a little foggy. So the actual little handle there that just grab onto eventually. There we go. That comes off. I don't know why that was covered in plastic. Alright, so now there it is. The metal backing is freed up. Alright, so let's zoom in. Alright, so here we've got the big board. Now, trying to start off in the top corner here. It's kind of hard, my camera is like 3 feet away and zoomed in. Alright, so hopefully we can all see this. So we'll start off up here. We've got, some tantalum capacitors, those little yellow boxes, sometimes they're black. We've got a lot of monolithic ceramic capacitors there. It's for silver, palladium recovery, blah blah blah. Some little ICs that are scattered throughout the board. The real money maker, what I go for on these things, are going to be BGAs and the flat pack. So things like this chip right here. It's a green circuit board base with a black epoxy top, and there's usually a little gold tail right there. So I take those off. I'll take off ICs. I don't usually fuss too much with the small ones like that, but anything that size, like a ½ inch or bigger, I will grab that. Now keep in mind that with these ICs, the more legs that it has, the better. Each leg, if there are gold bonding wires in there, if they're not made out of another material, for every leg there'll be one gold bonding wire. Now in most of these ICs, regardless of the size of the leg or whatever, the bonding wires are usually about the same size. So when you see a smaller chip with 20 legs on it, on each side, it's usually better than a bigger chip with 12 legs on each side. So gold in there. There's going to be gold plating in all of these things over here. Let's see what else is on there that I have not pointed out. Alright, so down here we've got another one of these BGAs. Now this is a copper top. These are crapshoot from what I understand. You scratch the top, you can see that it's copper underneath there. There's still going to be gold bonding wires in them, but most of the time they're not as good as the other ones, the solid black ones. Let's see. We've got this guy right here, which is I believe it's a crystal oscillator, a gold brazed crystal oscillator. These little guys are basically the same as a ceramic CPU. The bottom is ceramic, the top is some kind of metal that will dissolve in acid, and there's gold inside and gold brazing on the outside. This right here is a BGA as well. That kind of BGA is pretty much the same as the other kind. Bring out my chisel that everyone hates to see me use. They pop off pretty easy, and if you look at the back, it looks green fiberish, just like these guys. And they're processed the same way as those guys, and it's my understanding that they have pretty much the same gold yield. I could be wrong. I don't really do a whole lot of the actual processing anymore. I save that for the pros who do it in bulk, which I'll have a video about that coming out. So as far as this board is concerned, yeah, there's going to be other places where there's going to be some gold-plated pins in there. There's more ICs to pull off, but that's pretty much it. Those are the big items that are the bread and butter of people who micro scrap. You've got the ICs, the BGAs, this type of BGA as well, monolithic ceramic capacitors like this little guy right here. You've got did I already mention IC chips? Tantalum capacitors like this yellow one down here in the corner. And gold-plated pins. Now a lot of these gold-plated pins are going to be very difficult to get to, like the ones in the actual chip set. Let's see if I can get that on. Yeah, right there. So there's a whole bunch of little pins in there that are gold plated, but it's just the tip that's gold plated usually, and they're so dug in there. I mean, it's almost easier to just, you know, peel off the whole thing. And I've never tried to recover them with the plastic on it, but it may be possible to do it that way. You know, if that's the case, much easier. If not, a lot of work. We've also got this guy over here, which they refer to as flip chips. Really not a whole lot of gold in there, not really worth taking off. A lot of refiners, I mean, if you go to like boardsort.com, they don't even have a category for them. You know, there's like practically nothing on them. So that's it for this board. All right, now when it comes to depopulating these guys, what I do is I have, I don't know if you can see right here on the top of my bench, right near the edge, I put in 2 screws with like maybe that much space showing to hold the board so it doesn't slide. And what I'll do is I'll take my chisel that, you know, is yes made for wood, but I still use it. And I put it with the curved side facing down, and chips up. Same with BGAs like that. One good tap, it all comes up in one piece. Take that little guy, looks like a ram chip. And is that on camera? No, that's on camera. So easy those pop up. Alright, so for down here, get that little crystal oscillator. Sometimes little guys fly, but if you see like the bottom of it, it's ceramic, and then there's like gold brazing on the edges. Alright, so for down here, that's all I'm going to take off. I'm going to leave the tantalums. Chase those. You know, it's one of those things where if you know someone who will buy them, by all means, friggin' knock yourself out. You know, take them all off. I have a hard time finding someone to buy those, even on eBay. So I don't mess with them too much. So next up, and a little IC chip right there. Light taps with the hammer, and they're gone. Pull up that BGA. All right, now the MLCCs on here, I'm gonna leave. That's just my preference. I mean, they're wicked easy to take off. I mean, you can use, you know, screwdriver, you can use anything. You know, just get on them and twist them a little bit. They're not held on by a whole heck of a lot of solder. So they come off like that. Now keep in mind that not all of these are platinum bearing, or palladium bearing. So, and you know, again, with newer electronics like this, I mean, this can't be more than a few years. 2014 is when this board was made, and even at that point, there's really hardly anything on there for precious metal recovery. You know, a bigger refiner will be able to, you know, recover everything off the whole board. The copper, the aluminum, you know, the copper from the etching, everything. So for them, with their systems that they use, it's more worth it. For me, for a, you know, very small scrapper, and I am a very small time scrapper, that's all I'm going to pull off. So that's that. That board is done. Well, let's take a look at the back side here, just in case. Yeah, the back side again, you know, it's just a lot of really, really tiny MLCCs, very tiny IC chips. And again, I'll leave that for, you know, the scrap yard, so you know they can at least get, you know, some honest value out of it. So what did I get out of that board? 1, 2, 3 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4 IC chips, and my little VGA, and a crystal oscillator. One of those gold brazed ones. So really not a whole heck of a lot, considering the size of that board. So that's why I put so much focus on the RAM sticks and the cards that are in there, because that's where all the money is. All right, so that's that. I hope that does a better job of explaining, you know, what it is I scrap, how I scrap, what I pull off, and how. And at some point, you know, once all of these are done, they're pretty much all the same. There's like 2 different types of server blades, but having scrapped them before, I know that the inside's gonna be virtually identical to what you just saw. So I'm not gonna bother filming all of them. I'm just gonna, you know, reiterate again that, well, I'll probably put a video together at some point showing you, you know, all the stuff that I sell on eBay, how much I'm getting for it. That way you can have a, you know, a better idea of, as you as a scrapper, when you're tearing something down, where you want to focus your time and energy. I mean, if you have tons of time and if you do this full time, God, go for everything. If this is just a sideline thing for you, if you don't have a lot of space, you know, to work with, then be more selective. You know, it's really that simple. So again, thanks for watching. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, share, hit that bell over wherever it is, and see you on the next one.